The last time we saw Vega, the guy was stealing Seth's clone data from the SIN labs and then blurting it out of there faster than you can say toot toot Sonic Warrior. It was clear to see that during the end of Street Fighter 4, Vega had become somewhat interested in the pursuit of immortality. The concept of resurrecting himself into new youthful bodies intrigued him, and it seemed like a major shift for the character in terms of personal ambition. Although Vega has been a Shadaloo assassin throughout his entire stay in the Street Fighter universe, he usually had his own ulterior motives for doing things, and sometimes those motives even went against the grain of Shadaloo's objectives. Street Fighter 5 was a chance to see just how far Vega could push his own plans and where the character would end up doing so. So, how did he do? The thing about Street Fighter 5 is that the game takes some characters and radically changes their designs to the point of bastardizing them into oblivion. Then there are those who have not changed at all, to the point of, seriously, where's something else now because your shit be stanking up the whole yard, fam. Then there's a third type of character. The subtle ones. The ones who look pretty much like how they did before, only with some minor tweaks thrown in to add some spice to their designs. Vega falls under this category, and rightfully so. As far as antagonists go in this series, Vega has always stood out due to his flamboyant nature, and it wouldn't be right for him to have such drastic changes in design without potentially losing that feel. So, what did Capcom do to freshen him up a bit? They chucked the frilly shirt on him. I gotta testify, come up in the spot looking extra fly. Seriously though, one single item of clothing has managed to reintroduce the character to his whole audience without sacrificing what makes Vega look like Vega. It's such a simple thing, but it honestly goes a long way in keeping the character's aura intact. White frilly shirt, bruv. Fucking genius. Also, he's dyed his hair again. I made an observation in my original review of him that Vega's hair colour changes between blonde and brunette with each of his main canon game appearances. In Street Fighter 4, his hair was brown, and now for Street Fighter 5, it's back to blonde again, so it seems to be legit that he changes his hair himself, and it's not just some ongoing continuity error. One last thing worthy of note is that his fighting pose has changed too, and for the better. His old stance looked too stiff and rigid for a fighter who's all about fluidity. This new pose not only emphasizes his flamboyance, but feels more in tune with his fighting style now. And let me also say that while they did change a few of Vega's moves, this has to be my favourite version of Vega as far as movement is concerned. He feels more like a Matador ninja than ever before, and I absolutely love seeing a pro Vega player just utilising his moveset to its fullest potential. Vega is just an incredible joy to watch, if he wasn't already before. Story-wise, Shadaloo is back. Again. I guess it was inevitable, but the problem with constantly bringing back Shadaloo as a fully functioning organisation is things start to feel like the same thing over and over again, locking characters down into similar reoccurring patterns. Case in point with Vega. The end of Street Fighter 4 really made it seem like how Spanish Psycho was finally looking to break away and become his own thing, but because Shadaloo is back in full swing, seemingly rebuilding itself from complete destruction, this means Vega's back to playing the assassin for the organisation. It's not what I expected of him by this point, but on the other hand, I can't really say I'm surprised either. Regardless, what has Vega been getting up to in Street Fighter 5 then? He has remained intrigued by Kanye, a character whom he himself saved during Street Fighter Alpha 3 and has continued to keep a close eye on ever since. Aside from that, he dislikes working alongside Fung, the newly appointed second king of Shadaloo, and hates the fact that he has brainwashed the dolls even further to obey Bison's rule entirely. Vega turns up in London to torment Kanye a little bit, because I'm guessing there was nothing on TV that day, and then he shanks two British policemen in broad daylight. Like the dude just cuts through the boy them like he was serving doner kebab in Tottenham. Then comes the main developments in Street Fighter 5's A Shadow Falls story, and while a whole lot of random shit seems to be going on everywhere else, it's again with Vega that we see very little happen. In fact, it does seem like Street Fighter 5 has trouble connecting to a lot of what Vega did in Street Fighter 4. For example, Street Fighter 4 brought Chun-Li into Vega's field of vision. She had become someone whom he took interest in, similar to the way he's intrigued by Kanye. Chun-Li and Vega end up in the same place at the same time during Street Fighter 5, and nothing at all happens. Fuck all, the two of them don't even interact. And that worries me, because the one main plot point that connected these two characters together in Street Fighter 4 was the fact both of them were after Seth's clone data. Chun-Li was after it for her investigation, and Vega was after it for his own agenda. They crossed paths because of it. This was one of the only times in Street Fighter 5 where Vega and Chun-Li were in the same scene together, and nothing about their prior meeting was referenced, which leaves me wondering what that means for the bigger picture. Does Vega still see Chun-Li as a compelling beauty? Does Vega still have the data that he stole from SIN? If Vega doesn't have the data, does that mean his plot point surrounding his interest in immortality is now void and non-canon? Because if it is, then that's a crying shame, as it could have been a brilliant arc for Vega to follow. Again, I'm just questioning what I'm seeing here, but so far, the fact Street Fighter 5 doesn't mention anything about Vega's actions in Street Fighter 4 is very, very disappointing. Anyways, afterwards, he's back to stalking Cammy again, as he tells her to London. Again. Actually, you know what? It's at that exact same train station that he jumped Cammy at the last time. You know what, Cammy? Don't go to that train station anymore, yeah? Fuck it, just take the bus from now on. Vega then retreats from the fight after Jury gets involved and calls him a pervert. Like, she's one to talk, innit? We head back to the Shadaloo base for the story's finale, where Vega attacks Cammy one last time as she defends the Capri. Vega's reasons for doing so are never really explained properly, though his eccentric dialogue leads us to believe the reasons he's constantly hounding Cammy is because he sees a new beauty in her determination for saving the dolls. Vega feels this beauty should be tested to its fullest. He wants to press Cammy until he sees her break, and if she doesn't, then in his eyes, she's truly worthy of keeping alive in his quest to purge the world of everything that is ugly. At least, that's what I'm getting from all of that. After the dolls are broken free of their mind control, Vega simply walks away from the scene, either from seeing no point in continuing the battle now that Shadaloo is on its last legs, or it's more than likely because he has finally deemed Cammy and her sisterhood with the dolls worth sparing. As the base is destroyed, Vega can be seen throwing his mask away and leaving by himself. By discarding the mask in this fashion, it seems to suggest that he is finally now done with Shadaloo, at least that's how I interpreted it. The curtain has closed on his time as one of the four kings, and now he's off on a new unholy quest with no strings attached. Vega in Street Fighter 5 brings a very faithful updated look that I really like. He is flamboyant and engaging, only now thanks to his updated movements and body language does his personality feel more presentable than ever before. I especially appreciate his English voice dub, as the tone and accent really help to flesh out more of his twisted charisma. It's definitely one of the more stronger voices presented to us. Vega sadly does lack progression in the story arc department, and it worries me that his achievements in Street Fighter 4 seem to be overlooked too. I hope I'm wrong though, as this guy could have a great twisted future ahead of him if Capcom would only be brave enough to let him have it. Until then, I guess we'll wait and see, but for now, I'm just happy he's still around in general.